He is so generous to have taken time away from his golf game and football practice to now join us. Mike Empey. Mike, man, Arizona on Saturday. It's here. And I know we talked a lot over the summer about how exciting this all is. Now you're in game week. How are your emotions right now?
Well, I think, everybody is excited, maybe a little anxiety, and just ready to move forward and play somebody, play somebody else other than ourselves.
The depth chart came out. It is what it is. You have to produce something. You may not be 100% truthful with that or whatever, but there were some surprises in that the two Southern Utah guys, Kean Norman and Andrew Eide, were listed as starters in that. Yeah,
they've done a good job. They've had a good camp. I've never, in 23 years, I've never seen so much interest in O-line two deep. I've heard more about the depth chart than anything else this summer, and I don't understand the appeal. We're going to have a first team and a second team, and the guys that are playing the best and give you the best chance right now are the first team, and they've had a good camp. They're doing a good job. We're not perfect. We still have work to do, but we feel like this lineup is going to give us the best chance to get off to a good start.
The key word in depth chart is depth, and I know that's a big one for you because you want guys that are perfecting their craft in that specific position. How close are you to being in a position where you want to be with the offensive line?
Well, we thought we had a lot more experience coming back, and we felt like all along our goal would be to develop and have a really quality backup group that could rotate in, because in the course of a season you just never know how long a guy's going to last or how close you are to losing someone, especially to an injury, or even in the course of a game where there's an emergency and someone's helmet comes off and they have to come out for a play and whatever else. You just can't scramble in those situations, so we wanted to make sure that we felt really solid about our backups. And we got started and we didn't have some of the guys we thought would be first teamers. We got a lot of reps for guys and opportunities for guys that were down the line a little bit, probably earlier than they would have gotten. So it's sort of a, it's whatever your perspective is. It's a downside to lose guys with experience, but it's an opportunity for young guys that you're trying to build around for the future. And so we got them in. We got a lot of reps with them. They got a lot of work this summer, and we're still a ways off from being a veteran line that's had 100 starts. But I really like the talent that we have there, and I feel like they're coming along. And there's no way to manufacture a senior group. So we work with who we have, we get them experience, we coach them up, we focus on the things that we're strong with, and then we try to build from there. So I think some of the things that are a challenge for us this year are going to be a strength for us next year as we return those guys. So I think we're building depth right now. We have guys here that we feel excited about, but we're building our future depth right now.
You mentioned some of those veterans you were hoping that would come back, Brad Wilcox, Kyle Johnson and whatnot. What is the status of those guys relative to the season as a whole?
Well, and to be fair to Brad, we've tried to just not comment on whoever wasn't in camp with us.
Sure.
And sometimes when you just don't comment, you can leave things out there and people want to speculate on things. Brad is a senior, and academically he had some struggles through summer that he worked really hard on. He's taking some classes that he needed to graduate, and NCAA makes you show progress towards graduation, and he's not in trouble with us. We love him. I wish we could have him back, but academically he had a challenge that he couldn't overcome, and so because of that he won't have eligibility for this season. Kyle Johnson, it's just documented. He's had some injuries. He started for a couple of years, put his body out there for a couple of years, and so the status for Kyle is different because it's 100% dependent on his body, and for us right now, with a game on September 3rd, neither one of those situations can factor in. So we got a lot of work for a lot of people, and we were able to just develop them and say, hey, listen, this is your spot. Go. We're going to have to work here. You're going to have to get better. We're going to teach you, and you don't need to look over your shoulder and think that as soon as somebody else comes back, you're out of there because you're the guy. So that kind of helps a little bit sometimes too.
In terms of protecting your quarterback, Taysom Hill, and opening up gaps for your star running back, Jamal Williams, how well does your offensive line understand a new pro-style offense after just one summer of implementing that?
They're doing fine. I think right now we've tried to get to the point where scheme-wise everybody's on the same page. They understand what to do. We throw a different look at them or a different stunt at them. We're learning and things like that. But I think where we spend most of our time right now is just our technique, making sure we can handle some of the things that they're doing. Scheme-wise, I think we've kept it, relatively streamlined so that we can teach them really fast and they can have confidence in it and go hard.
We're going to do our part to make sure that when a touchdown pass is thrown or when a touchdown run happens, the offensive line gets as much credit as the actual participants.
I love that. I appreciate that.
Because there's interest in the depth chart right now. We should carry that through, right?
That's right. Don't just forget about it once the season starts.
Depth chart, man. I thought the key word to that was chart, by the way. I didn't know it was depth.
I hope we do a good enough job that you guys just don't ever have anything to talk about, and we're not standing out in any particular way. Yeah. Just get our job done.
Luckily, we don't have a daily show to have to talk about every day.
Wait, what?
There was a lot of conversation about, in years past, about Taysom and running and not running and whatnot. Have you had a conversation with you guys about, okay, once Taysom leaves the pocket, here's the drill, because that can happen a little more with him?
I think the conversation for us starts with, we're going to try to give him a pocket that fits what we're asking him to do. We're not going to go out there and say, hey, Taysom right or Taysom left. So if we're trying to protect for him and he leaves, he's going to make us all look great because he's really good when he improvises and leaves and goes and does those things. But to start the play out, our thought is just to protect him and stay in the protection as long as possible. So anybody, I know you guys haven't been out at practice through most of our stuff, but most of the time I'm working and encouraging that we hold that protection as long as we possibly can. And then if Taysom leaves, he's going to be gone so fast that none of our guys are going to help him out much at that point anyways. So, the big thing for us is just to make sure that we don't let anybody run free on him, and then he can decide, when and if he wants to improvise. And he's a great athlete. If he's going to go do that, he's going to do it well. So, the best thing we can do is just keep him on his feet so he can make good decisions.
Mike Empey is spitting truth bombs right now.
Just left and right. Boom,
when
boom,
Taysom
boom.
gets outside of the pocket,
we can't do anything.
We can't do anything.
Help him at that point.
How long is like the ideal pro style pocket? I mean, how many seconds do you want it to last?
I think most of our schemes, most of the things we try to do, if you're throwing on time, the ball's usually out around 3 seconds, 3.2. Usually if you're in a timing situation, that's what it is. If you're in three-step, maybe it's a little bit faster. That's probably universal. I don't think I'm sharing any trade secrets. Our goal at BYU from back in the day, even before I played here with Coach French, was to have a 4-second pocket. And so we try to gear everything around the idea that if we can create a pocket that we can sustain, the quarterback ought to be able to do whatever he needs to do, and the receivers have time to do what they need to do. And then if the quarterback needs to step up or scramble or do anything else, we just want to stay busy and keep blocking as long as we can. But if we can give in any type of a route scheme, if you're giving the quarterback 3 seconds or 3.5 seconds, it should be plenty as long as nobody's right in his face.
What kind of competition to earn back or keep the starting center spot was there for Tijon Karoma?
Well, Tijon just didn't have the benefit of going through spring. So all of the language that we use, the terminology, the schemes, the technical part of what I teach and what I'm expecting, what I'm evaluating and judging every day, he didn't know. And then he and I didn't have any kind of personal relationship because he was not here. So, just the ability to know how he needs to hear things when I'm giving him feedback, and how he can express to me what he needs, when he's giving me feedback, and just a relationship where I know, maybe this time he would have had that if we would have kept going. Things where you give a player the trust or benefit of the doubt to do their thing. We just never had a chance to establish any of those things. So he had a lot to overcome on that. Plus, he had, players that are playing really well and still does. We can move Parker to center anytime we want to. We felt like moving Parker to guard gave us a chance to have our 5 best linemen in the game at the same time. It wasn't because he wasn't going to play at center. It's because we felt like that gave us our 5 best guys in the front. And so Parker can play. We have Quinn right behind him, and Quinn is he's just a nasty dog. He wants to play so bad, and he'll fight, and he's in there battling in there. So, Tijon gives us the best chance to win right now, and he's doing a great job for us. He's really earned that spot. But, we have competition, and we have guys that can play, And at that spot at center, because we kind of went through spring and had to improvise a little bit and make sure that we covered ourselves with depth, I think we have 2 or 3 guys that can hold that spot down. And I think Tijon came in, and he should have confidence right now that he won that spot and beat out some good players, not that he just walked in and had it given to him.
It's safe to say you've faced some unexpected challenges early on in your return to BYU, with guys not coming back and then having to go through a situation like you did with Tijon. But in a weird way, do you almost enjoy having to go through those challenges and how every day is different because of that?
Yeah, it's just that's the job. I don't have to go sell $1 million worth of product to hit a quota right now. I have to develop a group of offensive linemen that'll work as a unit, and doing that has its own challenges, and it has ups and downs and disappointments and things that come out of left field, and then exciting things. I had a couple guys come home from missions that just have me so excited about the future. That's things that were really positive. So I try to not get too high or too low. I try to have my group not get too high or too low, and just try to have the blue collar kind of a next man up mentality that, if somebody isn't able to go, the next guy's ready, and everybody has that mentality that they have to be sharp and going, and I think that mixes it up. It doesn't get monotonous in any way.
Tell us about the blind side. So the left tackle, Andrew Idy, grad transfer, Southern Utah. Ed Lamb brought him up. Also Kian Norman, the left guard. These guys are newcomers to the program and have been here just a couple of months. Yeah,
blind side, the way that, Taysom's got eyes in the back of his head, so I don't think we really have a blind side. I think, when you look at that left side, you definitely want to have it be stout, but you need the right side to be stout too, And so, Kian and Andrew, it just kind of worked out that was where they were. I could put Kian at right guard right now, and he would switch over and be fine on the right side. I think Andrew, right now, if I switched him over, we would do that. But Louis is really comfortable on the right side, and Kian played left tackle last year, so he hasn't had as much time at left tackle. So for him, keeping him on the left side gave him carryover from his learning from before, and so just kind of worked that way. And I feel comfortable with it, and I reserve the right to make sure that we always have our best lineup. So I think those guys are going to be awesome. But if anything goes down, we might have to shuffle the deck a little bit. But I feel like that was our best 5 in the best spots to get started with the season, and I have a lot of confidence in them. We're not perfect, but I like the lineup that we have right now for what we want to do. It's a good place for us to start.
What kind of reception do you anticipate at the University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona in just a few days?
Well, I heard that we've sold a lot of tickets, and I know from experience that BYU travels well, and so I think we'll have a crowd that comes out to support us, and I think the guys are aware of that. Probably a lot of family. We're bringing a couple guys on the traveling squad that are from Phoenix, so their families can be there, and stuff like that. So I think it'll be a warm welcome. I think we won't have any excuses. The weather will be perfect. The field will be perfect. The fans will be great. I think it's just time for us to finally get out on the field and get going with this season.
Go get some SPF 50 on those arms. I think because this interview was right in the sun, we may have sunburned your arms. So
I'll be all right.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
What do you expect?